You're listening to Garden Master Ken Lain and the Top 10 Gardener Podcast. Welcome to the Top 10 Garden Show.
And we are back in the studio with Lisa Waters Lane. She comes each week with your gardening questions. What are people talking about out in the gardens? And this weekend, over hot dogs and garden classes and vendors and growers, and there were a lot of questions. People, the gardeners are anxious. They want to be out. They are tired of the cold.
Yeah,
they want their plants. They're thinking, sipping tea and watching hummingbirds, not sleeting on the side of the windows in their house. So it's kind of exciting.
Spring in the mountains. You never know what you're going to get.
It's one of those things. The Midwest folks, they get fooled, and the tropical people. Right. Actually, anyone that's not from here gets tricked. So we don't slowly ramp up to spring. It warms up a couple degrees every week, and then finally it's spring, and then it doesn't freeze anymore, and it keeps going. No, it violently gets nicer. So we're going from 20 to it's going to be 70 for 3 days. That's back to 30. That's back up to 65. That's back down to, and we violently approach spring. Right. And there could be sleet and snow and stuff in between.
Sure.
So that's the average frost date, or the last frost date of spring for most of us tuning into this area, is that first week in May. Okay. You folks over in the Verde, you're so special. Maybe they're the last couple days of April, but basically we're all the same. We're not Prescott Valley. I love those folks. They always think,
we're warmer.
So much different than Prescott. You are not. You're just down the freeway. You're the same exact as all of us. We're up at this high elevation. It's the elevation that does it. Just goes extreme warm to extreme cold. So get plants that can adapt to that. Right. And there are plants that can adapt to that. And you're seeing them bloom all around the region now. So
I do get asked that a lot. We know we're going to get more freezes. Is it okay to plant? Well, I guess it comes down to, don't plant a tomato plant.
No.
But you can put your trees, some of your perennials, your shrubs, lilacs, forsythia. You can plant all those things now, and they're fine with it.
It's the best time to plant evergreens. Spruce and pine and cedar, cypress, junipers, this is the time. Fruit trees, this is your best time. I know they say fall is for planting fruit trees, but you know what? There's not that many choices.
Right.
You got to water them. So you have way more choice. All the cocktail trees are available now. I don't have those in the fall. They're available now. So now's the time before they leaf, before they flower is your peak time. So I guess it depends. Everyone wants to start, the novices. They want to start tomatoes in March.
Right.
I'm going, you're going to see more frost. And if you look at a tomato plant cold, it's going to die. So we try to hold folks back. There's no holding people back. They just kind of go. In fact, remind Amy to make sure we get more tomatoes. We need more. We need tomatoes now because people are going to buy them.
And I always have people every year. Well, this is my third crop. You got to go, okay.
We try to bring in variety tomatoes. Big sizes that are a little bigger because bigger is tougher. And we bring them in not for the mass gardener. We're bringing in for that retired gardener. And this is their thing they do. They plant it in a container and they have it in the garage at night. And every day they go and they roll it out into the sunshine and they roll it back in and they protect it. And then they do this to get, one or two tomatoes going early, and then they'll plant all the rest of them later. Yeah. So it's those kind of folks. It's funny. Gardeners are
interesting.
They are interesting characters. Every single one of us.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Ready for some questions?
Yeah, do it. Go for it.
Okay.
We're in the zone.
So Melinda would like to know, do I still have time to put out wildflower seed? And if so, how heavy do you seed? Do you put like thick, can't see the ground coverage, sparse? How do you seed?
So Melinda, great question. You have time. Go for it. You have until really the end of April. It can be dicey depending on where you're at, elevation and stuff, but really you need freeze and thaw for your wildflowers. And we have that till the end of April, as we just mentioned that. So depending on where you're at, let's go for it. You should feel a little pressure to get the seed down kind of right away. So this weekend, come down. We'll help you pick the 4 native varieties that we put together here. We sell it in bulk. Now, going back to how far does each seed go? You don't put it on very heavy. It's not like lawn seed. You're not putting 8 pounds per 100 square feet. It's just like ounces. Because how big is a poppy plant? One seed's going to form one poppy plant, which is probably 6 by 6 by 6. So you're seeing how quickly you can fill up echinacea the same way. They get even a little larger. Gaillardias, even larger. And so your seed, you're trying to think through the plant mix or wildflower blend. When it gets done, are the plants spaced? So on average, you have about an ounce per 100 square feet. I mean, we sell it by scoops, and it's like a quarter tablespoon.
It's a quarter cup
goes per. Do you remember how many square feet that is?
150.
150 square feet for a scoop. And so, can you go a little bit heavier just in case the birds eat some, or I made a mistake? I didn't really scarify my soil correctly. I didn't open up the earth so it would receive the seed. Could you put it a little heavier? Maybe, but I wouldn't go crazy.
Right.
What I tell folks is take your hummingbird mix. I want to attract more butterflies. We've got a mix for that. But then you also like poppies? Well, you might take a scoop of the hummingbird and butterfly mix and add a scoop of the poppy mix. And you can blend those and kind of shake and bake them and then spread that out. Usually you'll put a layer of compost, what we call premium mulch. We screen it down real tight. You just put it over as thin as you can over that seed, and that should be good to go. But yeah, Linda, great question. Your timing is perfect. Go for it.
Okay. Next question is from Shelley. She says, what's the difference between an Atlas cedar and a Deodar cedar? I'm looking for a large tree to plant as a screen.
Yeah, that's good.
And do you have any other recommendations?
Yeah, Shelley, great question. You've been doing your homework. I can tell. That's a great question. So Atlas cedar, that's on the courthouse. That's the courthouse tree. So 100 and something years ago, when we became a state, they planted 2 Atlas cedars down there as a celebration. And the largest one, as you look at Bucky O'Neill looking towards the courthouse on Gurley Street, the biggest tree on the left-hand side, that's an Atlas cedar. So it's a big trunk. Like you can't put your arms around it. Of course, it's 100 years old. It's now, I don't know how tall it is, but it's tall, big. I mean, it's like way above, like I can't even tell how big it is. It's so big. That's when they light up often with at Christmas, one that dances around, that kind of stuff. That's an Atlas cedar. Interesting. One that's on the back side. This is just trivia, just while we're in Prescott. The biggest tree on the courthouse by far is a redwood tree. It's on the other side of the courthouse in the middle of the lawn area. That biggest trunk, it's so big, it just has this big green canopy over you. They've limbed it up some so you can play and enjoy the lawn areas underneath it. That's a redwood. So you can plant that too. The difference between Deodar and Atlas cedar. Okay, Deodar cedar is kind of more green. Atlas cedar is more blue. The Atlas cedar has more layering, like a Christmas tree, more swooping branches, I think. A Deodar cedar has more softer swooping branches. And so out of the 2, which one grows faster? They're probably both pretty fast. Deodar cedar is a little bit more popular only because as they're young, they're fuller. They look like they have more girth, more size to them. It's just a way they grow in a container. Cedars don't fill out nicely. They need to be in the ground for a season, and then all of a sudden they go whoop, and they fill in just like that. I mean, these are big, thick. We're talking 50, 60, 70-foot trees by 25-foot wide, big swooping branches. Both are great choices they're all both going to naturalize. There's probably more Deodar cedars just because when you look at them in the tree racks, the Deodar has more of a yellow-green look, but it has a little bit more, they still aren't full, but they have fuller look. The Atlas cedar is kind of a trunk with a few branches coming off, and you have to envision what it's going to look like. Look at the courthouse, and you'll see it. We're out of time.
Oh,
Thank
gosh.
you, Lisa.
Okay.
That's it for this segment. Be right back. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this.
If life is a bowl of cherries, why not make them the biggest, sweetest cherries ever?
Waters Garden Center is super excited to introduce our new organic fruit and vegetable plant food.
This fertilizer has the bonus of added calcium that gives fruit trees and veggies an extra boost to produce healthy, abundant crops.
Feed your plants now to help them thrive and grow more fruits than ever. And just $27 for a 20-pound bag.
Safe, natural, organic fruit and vegetable plant food only at Waters Garden Center.
You're listening to Ken Lain, a.k.a. the Top 10 Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Family Garden Center. Listen daily as he answers the top 10 questions of the week, streaming on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts.